turning this completely off, because it helps to just to reboot it, because it gets kind of confused sometimes. So really the only app you're going to use is the Fidelio app. It's going to tell you this. I took the SD card out because it wouldn't work with it in, and I recently had to do this on another site where it just kept not identifying anything. I took the SD card out, worked fine. So it's going to ask you, or it's going to say no SD card detected. It was doing that prior to me removing it anyway. Okay. Do you want to continue without SD card? Yes. There may be a message that comes up that will ask you where you want to. It'll be like, do you want to use external memory or local? Just choose local. So you'll want to plug this into the configuration port. It's just this port, which this is plugged in and connects to here. If you want to change it, let's say you want to use it in Auditorium 1. Select 1. And if it's working correctly, it should identify again like that. If you don't see it do that in like a second or two, try unplugging this or shutting it down. You might want to try it a couple times, and if it's still not doing that, give it a reboot. So it's assigned to Auditorium 1, and then for the channel, you're going to only use channel 1. That's all that's hooked up. So for hearing impaired, if you just want hearing impaired, which is the regular audio, just amplified in the speaker or in the headphones, you want channel 1A. If you want visually impaired, which is a descriptive narrative of what's happening on screen, you choose the VI, and that'll be 1B. And then if you want both, which I doubt anyone's ever going to ask for this, you want stereo. And that hearing impaired happens in the left ear, and visually impaired happens in the right ear on that. So then you just give them headset. When you pull this out of the port, it will automatically be off, and you'll turn it back on. And if it's flashing, that means it's not connected. It's connecting to Auditorium 1 on channel 1 when the light is solid. So for the Captiview is super straightforward, and I have had very little issues as far as these are concerned. I've never had an issue other than maybe a screen was messed up on it, but it was functioning. You just want to turn that on by that, it's an on-off switch, and you'll have, I don't know if you can see that in there, you'll have these selections. Auditorium A, which is A, C is connection, and L is language. I doubt you'll use language, but the buttons are located right under those letters in there. So let's say you want to choose Auditorium 7. You'll hit the A button until it changes to 7, and then you hit the C button to connect. And it might not be finding it because we're too far away, but it will say connecting to Auditorium, Do Re Mi Captiview ready. You will want to let customers know that there is, like, if it's not on, for both of these, if it's not on the content, it's not going to work, you know, because it has to be encrypted for these, for the hearing impaired, Captiview, and visually impaired. Otherwise, they're not going to hear it or see it.
Are you talking about the movie itself?
Yeah. It is becoming way more common for content to have all of them on it. Even more trailers. Like 3-4 months ago, I don't think there were any, maybe one I'd see occasionally. Now it's getting to where like half the trailers I see will have hearing impaired or visually impaired. Some movies, for some reason, I've noticed a few that are currently out right now only have visually impaired, which seems
Does it
weird.
state that in the film itself?
It'll, actually, do you have a drive or anything down here? Because it'll say, like, right on the, you know, all those, the title will be, like, really long and have, like, coded things. It'll say CCAP, and then it'll say D-Box or HI-VI. It'll say that all in the title of the file, and it'll say HI for hearing impaired, VI for hearing impaired, and CCAP. Almost everything, I think, has the CCAP on it as far as features go. But yeah, that'll tell you whether it has that on it, and you'll want to make sure before you hand it to someone and say, here you go, and it's not on there. So it's only going to work with content that it's provided on.
And to get that from Stop Spinning since it didn't recognize it?
Oh, it's nothing's plugged into it, so
Okay.
it's going to do that the whole time. That's kind of
Okay.
why we say, like, each night, just unplug it, because it'll sit there and do that, and then it kind of, you'll go to plug something in, like 2 days later, and it's just fussy. But
When you say nothing plugged into it, like that port?
yeah, this is the port that assigns it. The rest are just it's charging station.
Okay. And we only have one hearing set?
I thought there was.
They might be in the
They might
box.
be in this box. Yeah.
Okay.
I thought I saw more. But I just grabbed one. Yeah, they're all in there. And I guess some people bring their own headphones because it's a standard jack. Or if you ever decide to do upgrades on the headphones, because these are like the basic ones. But I don't see any issues with those. Any questions?
Okay, so every time somebody asks for the hearing impaired, we gotta take one of these, plug it into there, assign it.
Yep.
Take a headset, plug the headset into this.
Yep.
And then hand them off.
Yeah. You might want to turn it on for them beforehand.
Right.
Some people are easily confused.
But then for the visual impaired, we still gotta assign.
The visually impaired is on here. This is the closed captioning. This is
Oh,
only
okay.
closed captioning. It's just text.
So they just get that, nothing else?
If they want closed captioning, yeah.
Okay.
Just
No,
closed
none of
captioning.
these or anything?
Right. Because this is going to just, the HI channel 1A will just be what everyone's hearing in the auditorium. Like the normal USL or whatever. It's the same audio playing in the headphones as in the auditorium. The visually impaired is a descriptive narrative,
I get it. Okay.
it'll tell you what the people are doing on screen or describe logos or whatever's happening on screen. Some of them are really hit or miss. Like I've listened to huge chunks of films where I thought it wasn't working because I was getting nothing, and then all of a sudden they describe something and I'm like, 10 minutes have gone by, tons of things have happened, but you haven't described any of it. But some are just constantly telling you what's going on. It just depends on, I guess, how much the companies invest in getting the description on there. But yeah, just assign it. Auditorium 9, let's change it to 11. And it is identifying. It'll do that identifying to make sure. Let's just put it on hearing impaired. And that's good.
Could you assign all these prior to the time of the day? Like have one for each theater?
Well,
Ready to go?
You only have, what?
8.
Yeah, 8. So you wouldn't be able to do all of them.
No.
But I'm not sure because they turn themselves off. Because these are, like, when you put them in here, they turn themselves off.
Okay. So you have
I
to
don't know
reassign
how
them
long
probably.
that they would hold the assignment if they're not running, like, on and active. I mean, generally, like, you'll pick one up, and the last time it was assigned to, Auditorium 6, like 2 weeks ago, you'll put it in here, and it'll show you that it was assigned to there, but
So if it is assigned to there, should we just, and that's the one we're going with, just use it like that, or make sure it's where it should be, like on the right
I
setting?
would go ahead and reassign it, just
Okay.
to be sure. Because they're done on, it's like the DonorMe guy just described it as kind of like an IP address. Like it's a signal that kind of like an IP address, but not obviously not an IP address. But there's some kind of designated signal. So I personally would suggest just reassigning it to make sure it has the right assignment on it.
So when it does that, you said we should unplug it and plug it back in?
I mean, you could leave it like that for the day, but I wouldn't because sometimes you won't get requests for these, I'm sure, for weeks, possibly months. But for it to sit there like searching like that, I would say it's overworking it. And I've seen where it's just been sitting there doing that for days and days and days, and I've tried using it and it won't identify anything. Turned it off or even just unplugged it, and it kind of gives it a reboot. So that's we've kind of just been telling people.
And that stays on all night, everything?
Yeah, it would. I mean, it'll go into like standby because it'll, nothing's happening and it'll go dark, but you don't have to do it. It's just my suggestion. And some people will try to use these and they'll be in other parts of the building and be like, it's not working. There's a distance that it's going to stop working at or not have a good connection.
Is the other hearing impaired still equipped or no?
I haven't touched that at all.
So
That's-
if they prefer to use the other, we
yeah,
can.
and I guess some people still do. I've talked to theaters that still use them. Like people still ask for them
Okay.
because they prefer them. I don't know. I mean, this is a much clearer sound. Like it's as long as you're within range, it's a good solid connection in your ear. Because like a lot of the USL ones would be, staticky. You don't have to tell them to be like, sit perfectly in the middle,
Yeah.
this many feet from the back. Because even when we test them, we're like, is it working? Like dodging around the theater. But yeah, these will get a signal, clear signal, pretty much anywhere in the auditorium.
Is there any signs that need to be posted anywhere for them? That we
I don't
have
think
them?
so. I've never seen any theaters do
Well, I
that.
just thought to let people know,
I mean, if you guys want to do that, it'd probably be good for them to know. I don't know it, because we've been getting a lot of these installs in Michigan. I don't know if the law is changing overall, but I know specifically in Michigan it's going to be mandatory that you have to have one of these and one of these per auditorium. Like, so 16 house theater, it has to have 16 receivers. And at least 16 of those.
Oh my.
Which I doubt at any point would a person be using.
Unless you're
one
doing a blind rental or a hearing rental or.
in every single auditorium or something. But yeah. I don't know if that's going to be like across the board, but I know I've been hearing talk of it in Michigan, and a lot of the sites that we've already had get these installed, they've been ordering more equipment because they just had the basic, 8 or 10 in here, and now they have to get more.
Got it. Questions? I'm good.
And I did find a loose connection on 11, the